All right. Today I am here. It's been a while since I did a live. This was prompted by a conversation that I had with a current um, member of the Acquisition Holdco program, and further prompted by a comment from my man Tariq Tucker, who, as he said, will you tell us more about what this Acquisition Holdco thing is and what the program is? So I wanted to take some time and start with this kind of question that came from Kwesi around kind of the deals that he's considering, and a concern that was basically legitimate. It's okay, when I buy these businesses, basically what am I going to be doing with them, which is very important. So I want to talk a little bit. We kind of, at the end of our call, we're getting into this, and it's something that is presented over the course of our time together in the Acquisition Holdco program, which is basically a year long program together. I love to say that all of our programs basically just ends up being a bunch of friends doing deals together, which I absolutely love. And so one of the things that's very tough for people that are coming into the program and they're already entrepreneurs is they start to think about the businesses that they acquire like entrepreneurs think about business. And one of the toughest things that's really my job with the folks that already own businesses is showing them the difference between how somebody thinks when it comes to being someone who's building an acquisition holdco and how someone thinks that is a business owner. Now, it starts with vision and objective. So if you're building an acquisition holdco, primarily the focus is going to be around acquiring existing businesses or assets that have value. So the vision is going to be driven by financial metrics. It's going to be driven by ROI. It's going to be driven by finding undervalued assets within the business. And so there are all of these things that come into play. If you look at the fact that we want undervalued assets, so this could be that there's an asset in the business that's uniquely beneficial to us. It could be that there are assets in the business that the other person isn't able to take advantage of. And so all of these things come into play, which is very different from somebody who's buying the business to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, where they're really just buying the business because it's a good business. I don't really care if it's a good business. And that sounds like ludicrous to most people. It's like, wait a minute, what? So I'm looking for it to meet a specific objective. There could be something within that business that's strategically beneficial to me and the future goal of that whole co. There could also be something that's beneficial to another business that's already within the whole co. So understanding the goal is not necessarily to build that business from scratch. I mean, I think there was kind of an assumption in the question that when we buy that business, that our goal is to necessarily grow that business. The first thing is like, hey, that may not be the goal. So let's stop there. And thank you for the reminder. Hit like as you come in. I definitely appreciate y'all coming in. Hit like and say hello in the comments. I enjoy hearing from you. I don't get on here a lot. So when you contrast that with the entrepreneur who's starting a business, they're going to be driven by, oh, like, I love the idea of getting into this industry, or, I'm really excited about the future of this product. Like, I could care less about the future. I do not care about the future. It's like, hey, what have you done for me? Like, what can we get done today? How can we draw some value today? I'm not counting on the future, and entrepreneurs and business owners are really, really focused on what's going to happen in the future. And we see this even in current deals. I love the deals that some of the current folks are doing within the program right now. When you look at their deals, it's not like, oh, I'm buying this because I hope one day, this is going to grow, this is going to turn this other thing. It's no, I've got this specific strategic value, or I'm going to put these two businesses together. I'm leveraging this type of joint venture. And that's from, the interviews. Some of them are just on Patreon, but, on YouTube, we did an interview with Josh. In the Patreon, we did an interview with Shonda. I got to get an interview with Ephraim. So, when you're looking at the deals that are getting done, it's not because of excitement about the industry. It's not because of excitement about some service or product or new technology. It's very much rooted in the fact that there's some specific ROI, there's some specific strategic benefit, there's some specific underlying asset that's undervalued. And those are the things that we are looking to leverage. I've seen it time and time again because I do invest in other things. And so I'm a part of other things, from real estate to entrepreneurial ventures and all that are just kind of like, okay, this is investment money. And that stuff all the time, it just crashes. And so you've got when you're building an acquisition holdco, you're not playing that game. It's okay to play that game with some of your risk capital. But when it comes to a holdco, and this is one of the biggest philosophies, I think, people are thinking about the stock market when Warren Buffett says, rule number one is don't lose money. But they forget that Warren Buffett doesn't really invest in the stock market. He owns an acquisition holdco. And when he's saying don't lose, rule number one is don't lose money, he's talking about within the deal structure of those deals. And so, I saw someone do a video recently that was talking about what they don't like about franchises. And, some of my most profitable deals have been in the franchise space. And one of the things that they did mention is it has a low failure rate. It's hard to say, oh, I don't like that they don't go out of business as much as small businesses. But that's our goal. Like the reason that we like those deals, because we're looking not to lose money when it comes to building an acquisition holdco. Now, like I said, I do other things. I have some things where it's like, hey, it could win, it could lose. But when you're building this type of structure, like Warren said with his holding company, rule number one is not to lose money. And so that brings us to the risk tolerance and perspective. So if somebody's leading a holdco, they're typically going to look for a business that has, guess what? A proven track record. And so this means a lot of times industries, one of the reasons that I love some of the businesses that may be in financial space, we're doing some acquisitions that are in the wealth management space. It's not that this particular business has like this incredible track record, but we just know, hey, because you're in this industry, here's the industry overall track record. And so you want to look at that. Okay, if I'm looking at restaurants, what's the success rate of restaurants? If I'm looking at these types of deals that are in the real estate space, like what is, we've done some deals that are in property management and that kind of thing. We're doing a lot of deals that are in medical space. So each of those things, you want to look at how's the industry overall doing? So when you compare that to someone who is a business owner, a lot of times they are attempting and testing and trying new things and all of that. And they're willing to deal with a certain amount of uncertainty as they figure out, their next point of growth. When it comes to acquisition holdco, like we're going to buy the growth. If we want more customers, we want to go find the business where we're going to get paid to get access to those customers. And so that conveniently brings us to operational involvement. Now, when you get into a holdco, one of the issues, and this is one of the things that I was discussing today with the client is, you can't, if you're going to have a holding company, you can afford to get operationally invested and involved in every special purpose vehicle asset that you acquire. So every business you acquire, you can't get into that thinking, oh, wow, I'm going to get into this and I'm going to, I got this plan. I'm going to go into this and improve the marketing. And before you know it, because there's unlimited things to be tested and tried. And really what it boils down to is an unlimited amount of things to be risked where you have the potential of losing money. And so, you could start to get into, okay, I'm going to do Google ads and I'm going to do Facebook ads and, I'm going to start to do some more social media stuff and they're not using this type of CRM and I'm going to go and I'm going to invest in that. And it's like, okay, like there's all these things. It's like, what's the specific thing you're going to get in here and do? And that's really the goal. So our goal on the acquisition holdco side is we want to take on a strategic and high level role in the business and come up with the specific levers, the specific leverage points in that business that we're going to focus on in order to drive revenue as quickly as possible, because time is the most important part of the equation to come up with your ROI. If you can make the same amount of money that somebody else does in 10 years, you can do it in a year, you're going to have 10 times the ROI. So a lot of times not the amount, it's the time. So we want to be able to do that without the day-to-day operation involvement, because the more you're involved in that day-to-day, the less likely and lower your ability to go out and do that next deal. Now you compare that with the business owner or the entrepreneur, and they're going to be deeply involved in all facets of their business. They want to be involved in the product development and the marketing and the hiring and the operations. It's everything, and so being very hands-on is important because they've got their nest egg in one thing, and our goal is to be diversified. The next is the growth philosophy. So if you look on the acquisition holdco side, growth is most often going to be achieved through further acquisitions. Now, the mindset really kind of revolves around capital allocation, I guess you would say. So, for the acquisition holdco, you're looking at, okay, if I can go out and I can do a deal and I can make this amount of ROI on this side, or I could make this other investment on my current portfolio and make this ROI. A lot of times that's one of the biggest comparisons that you're making, but the focus is around capital allocation, deal sourcing, integrating new deals, and then the real focus is, because most of the time, and I've talked about examples on the channel, when we get people that own businesses, they've got things within their business that us as deal makers would be those undervalued assets that we want to extract value out of. And so within your business, instead of looking out for other things, the real key becomes, how can I drive down and extract all of the value out of what we have right now? And then when you add a new asset, you're bringing that same attitude to, how do I drive as much revenue? Am I really, it's almost like someone who has a car that has 1,000 horsepower. And, they're basically, in a neighborhood driving their kids to school. That's the only thing they use it for. And they're max getting it up to 60 miles an hour, but it could go 200. But they're going to the dealership and they're like, hey man, like this thing only has 1,000 miles per hour. Like I need to get it up to 2,000. Like, how can I get it up to 2,000? It's like, wait a minute, well, what are you doing? Are you like trying to race cars? Like you're not even maxing what you have. And so I see that all the time. I see it with my team. I see it with in other businesses where they're like, oh man, okay, we're going to add this other thing. It's like, dude, you're not maxing out what you have right now. And so that is one of the things, once you get into acquisition holdco, that's really important. As you compare that to the business owner, and you get into those folks that should be and have to be focused on the innovation and the market differentiation and the scaling and all of those things to improve their operations. And then finally, there is the financial strategy. So when it comes to the acquisition holdco financial strategy, there's a lot of focus on deal structuring, on being, a lot of what I'm doing when I'm working with clients as we talk about deals is on both sides. And it gets to be really exciting because a lot of them, we just got one of our folks who is listing a deal, but on both sides, buying and selling, those require creative thinking in order to get to the deal that is going to be the right fit. And so the more creative that you can be, the more likely you are to get everything that you want out of the deal. So if you're in a holdco, you're thinking about capital structure, you're thinking about debt financing, you're thinking about leveraging, all of the components of the business to get the best acquisition deal structure. And then after that, you're trying to figure out, okay, how can we maximize the financial structure and capital structure of the business? On the business owner side, you are acting as a operator first, and the financial side of the business comes second. So you're just focused on managing the business. So what that involves is cash flow management. You're trying to raise capital from venture capitalists, but the overall goal is just really ensuring sustainability and longevity, which is a little bit different than where the whole co is focused. So if all of this is of interest to you and you haven't yet, definitely check out the soloconglomerate.com free course. If you're not in our Patreon, definitely come hang out, ask questions and that kind of thing. The patreon.com/Ace Chapman group. And if you're ready to make the leap into building from scratch your own acquisition holdco, and more importantly, like I said at the beginning, becoming a part of a group of friends that just go and do deals together, get to talk deals together, which is what I enjoy most. Then reach out, and we'd be happy to tell you more about what we're up to. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great one. Hope your week is off to an amazing and productive start. Oh, I'll take a couple questions. We got Jose came in. What's up, Jose? Let's say he says, yes, I agree. I'm working on a deal where I'm only acquiring the business because of distribution. This is exactly it. It was definitely the point. You get a lot of folks that bring the mentality of business owner, entrepreneur into these deals. And, I think a lot of times you might see a deal where it's like, okay, I have a strategic benefit, but I'm going to get into all these other things to grow this business and make it a better business. And that may not be the greatest leverage point. Thank you for that comment, Jose. That's a great place to end. Subscribe, like the video, and I will hopefully be back soon.